Hey guys, it's Tim Shermack, and welcome back to another episode of the Platform Marketing Show. I'm joined today by Eden Combs, a realtor in North Carolina. Eden, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Tim.
So Eden has been on the show before. I can't even remember what exact year you joined the Platform Marketing Program. Was it 2 years ago or?
It was August, I think it was August or September of 2024.
Okay, so like 2025 was really the first full,
Full year.
yeah, the first full calendar year that you were with Platform. So it must have been at some point in 2025 I interviewed you, and your business was already growing. You were already seeing it working. You were seeing the momentum. You were obviously, happy enough with all the marketing to hop on the podcast here. But here we are, more like 18 months into this, and things are really, really,
Yes.
really, really accelerating for you. I know that you had like texted me that in like January and February of this year, which, for most realtors in most parts of the country, usually is the slowest time of year. I
hmm
think I saw a chart recently that, there might be some exceptions to this for people in Hawaii or South Florida or, whatever that, where it's like warm weather in January. But I think for the vast majority of the country, the slowest real estate months of the year are December, November, and January are the top three. So it's pretty rare for someone to feel like, oh wow, I'm really building my pipeline here in December, or I'm really building my pipeline in January, right? I think a lot of people have the mentality, if I get any closings or any momentum in January, that's just kind of icing on the
Yes.
cake because I'll just make up for it later in the year by having a crazy spring and summer. Tell me, Eden, about how your Q1 is going so far this year.
Well, first, let's go back to Q1 of 2025. I went into Q1 of 2025 with one property under contract. So I'm like, we're going to be eating breadcrumbs this year. It was a hard year, but it was my most successful year. But going into January of 2026, I went into January of 2026 with 16 properties already under contract. And I think to date, sold under or sold pending or sold and pending, we have 28. So that speaks volumes.
Wow.
Yeah, for what to me, platform, I was already doing all the things, but it really helped to elevate the visibility of me and who I am and the community pieces of it.
So, just so people know, again, because I have no idea when someone's going to be actually listening to this podcast in the future,
Yeah.
we are recording this towards the end of the month in February. So, when you say that you've already had 28 closed or under contract or pending right now this year, that's 28, and we're only 2 months into the year
hmm
in what normally is the slowest months of the year, right? And you said last year at this time you had one.
One. One.
So you went from 1 to 28. So
hmm
it's not a huge leap in logic to say that you're probably expecting this year is going to be a better year for you than last year was.
Absolutely. And I just listed in the last, well, if I go off of what I'm listing today, when we get off of here, I have four listings to get active. So
Let's go.
I know. So between those four and the ones I just listed, it's worth 13 in the last 2 weeks.
What were your numbers for last week? What did you finish the year of 2025 at in terms of like volume or transactions or
57.
57 transactions?
hmm Yes.
Okay, that's amazing. What was the volume on that? Like what is your normal price point?
14 and a half million.
Okay. So that's
So
amazing.
I'm in like a 265. My typical median sales is about 265 average.
Two kind of interesting, I guess, observations flow from that. Uh First is that you should never give up or think it's going to be a bad year just because you have a slow Q1 because you said, "Hey, I had one deal in January last year and this year, this year I have
Yes.
like 28 a couple months into the year, but last year you still finished with nearly 60 closings last year
hmm
even with that slow of a start. So, don't overreact if you're slow in January or slow in Q1. But another thing flows from that.
I say that you take that time to prepare for what is to come. So I made the calls, I stayed active on social media, went around and did a whole year's worth of spotlights, local spotlights. So
Okay.
I went ahead and got all of those done. I actually took a little bit of extra time and did some of those in video format with the owners. And so did little B-roll
Yep.
clips, and then you all clip those all together and overlaid the owners' voices talking about their business. Um, and prepared listing packets that I didn't even know I was going to have listings for, and refreshed like buyer packets. And so, really just prayed over all of that and stuck strong with I know what's for me is coming, so I'm going to prepare for that.
Yeah. So I mean, you kind of use that slower time to do the things and to kind of take care of the marketing tasks that you probably knew
Hmm.
you wouldn't have time for when things got really busy in the spring and summer. You know,
Absolutely.
I said don't let it discourage you. That's the first point. If you're having a slow Q1, but the second point is even if you're not having necessarily a slow Q1, maybe things are going quite well for you. I still think for people whose business is going well, I still think almost every realtor I've ever talked to underestimates how much their business can grow and how much marketing can truly snowball given enough time. Because
Hmm.
it is not a coincidence that we're having this conversation, whatever, 18 months into your experience with platform marketing, right? It's such a um common thread throughout my conversations is that like people typically see the best results somewhere between a year or 2 years after hiring a platform. It usually doesn't happen within the first 6 months, right? Um, and so again, if you did almost 60 transactions last year, I mean, do you think you like might get like 100 this year? I mean, where is
I have no clue what to expect. I went into it and set a goal for myself of 75, and I think that we can definitely exceed that. Um, I do. I think that we can exceed that based on how things are going so far, but we'll just see.
yeah, I mean, if you're at the pace you're going, you might hit 75 by like Memorial Day, you know? So that's amazing.
Yes. And I also started utilizing some buyer agents to help offload some of the buyers. Um, and so I do count those as transactions, even though I'm not the one physically doing all of the work. I am still behind them, supporting them, coaching them, cheering them on, making sure that the clients still feel like I'm there, even though I'm not the one boots on the ground showing those properties, um, because I have focused a lot on the listings.
Yep. Yep. How much are you typically spending on ads, like on the actual like Facebook ads on any given month, you know?
I think Audrey said she upped my budget. Like we talked about this last time, and I don't even ask her, I just trust her. And I think she said she upped my budget to about 500 per listing video for
Okay.
ad spend.
Awesome. And for those who aren't familiar maybe with how the platform marketing program works, would you mind describing like who is Audrey and what does she do for you?
Yes, so Audrey is my account manager, and she keeps me on track and makes sure that I do the things I'm supposed to do. And I do ask her, like, can you please hold me accountable because we're all people just living our lives trying to get by, and doing all the things. So we meet every 2 weeks. She gives, here's the ads I think that you should be running right now based on your goals and what you're doing. So they do ask questions and listen. Um, and then she is the person behind, I guess, submitting those to the team to get posted. Um, and we meet every 2 weeks, and she has a very organized Google Drive list for me and kicks me in the butt when I'm not doing what I'm supposed
Yeah.
to do. Um, like I told her, I was like, just be patient. She's like, it's okay. You literally just busted out 5 listing videos and you're doing another 5. So I'm good with that if you don't get that photo to me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then we'll
Yeah.
get back on track with those things. So yeah, I mean, and I trust her. I don't really say, hey, I need to stick to this. I just trust her to adjust the budget based on what she sees on y'all's end with the numbers and what they need to be in the lead flow and
So she's kind of like your like in-house marketing manager,
Absolutely.
that you kind of get as, as obviously part of the membership with platforms, you get assigned a marketing manager that handles the stuff for you. Now the formal title is account manager, which is not a coincidence because account comes from the same, root word as accountability, right? And the whole point is they hold you to account because sometimes she's asking you, hey, you got to get me this video we talked about, or hey, Eden, you got to get me this photo we talked about so we can run this retargeting ad. And sometimes she maybe just has to harass you a little bit because you're busy, right? You're selling almost 60 homes a year.
Yeah.
She might tell you something and you in totally good faith promise, hey, I'll get this to you by whatever, Monday afternoon. Monday afternoon comes, you got busy, you got a bunch of phone calls you weren't anticipating because the marketing is working, right? And then you don't get her the thing, and it's Audrey's job to harass you until you get her the content that she needs, right? So I think the word account in
Right.
there, holding you accountable, is one thing that really makes the platform marketing program unique amongst other marketing systems out there, because I will be the first to say that nothing we do at platform is so incredibly advanced that you have to have like a 12-year degree, college degree, to do the the marketing or the retargeting that we set up, or any. It's not so just intellectually advanced that it's that no one could do this on their own. But the way the platform strategy is structured with these regular calls with your account manager, it kind of gives you better odds of success in the same way that hiring a personal trainer gives you better odds for success. Like 9 times out of 10, if you go to a gym and you shell out money for an actual personal trainer, they're probably not giving you any exercises that you had never heard of or didn't know about. They're not sharing like earth-shattering information, with you, like, hey, did you know that if you burn more calories than you consume, you'll lose weight, or if you increase your protein intake, you can build muscle. All of this is fairly common sense, right?
Yeah.
It's that hiring a personal trainer makes sure that you, as the variable, as the client, are less of a variable, because it's their job just to hold you accountable, right? To do the things that you need to do, but so often we don't do.
Yeah. I hear coaches all the time say, I have people that pay for something and they never show up to it.
Yeah.
So if you're going to pay for it and you don't show up, it's not going to work. If you don't put in the work, it's not going to work because we know work works.
Yep.
And if you don't do the thing that gave you the result to begin with, which are the photos and the listing videos and the ads and your spotlights and all these pieces that come together, then it's going to quit working. So it is really nice to have somebody, even when you're busy, to say, hey, I know this is working for you, but I still need you to do these things.
Right.
Because if you don't, the work that got you to where you are
Yep.
is going to backslide.
And I think that's even more of a pronounced problem with realtors that are successful like you,
Hmm.
because it's easy to get content and it's easy to do your marketing tasks and kind of do your marketing homework when you're really slow and you have nothing else to do.
Yep.
If you have nothing in the pipeline, no active clients are working with, you have all day technically to go out and film videos or create content for social media. But it's like when you got 10 under contract, or you're actively working 25 deals, or you've got 18 listings or whatever, that's when it's like, okay, it's so psychologically easy in that moment to be like, you know what? I'm just going to back off the marketing for a month. I'm just going to slow down for a month and then I'll get back to it. But the problem with that is 1 month very easily becomes 6 weeks, and 6 weeks becomes 8 weeks. And then,
Yep.
what you're doing is you're cannibalizing your future pipeline, because the business you had now is because of the marketing work you did 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago, right? So if you're taking a month or two off because you get busy, well, now you probably won't have a bunch of closings in 4, 5, 6 months. That's just how it works, right? But it's a harder habit to stick to once you become successful, paradoxically, because now you don't have time.
Yes. I'll have other agents ask me all the time, how do you keep your pipeline full? And it's because I don't stop doing the work that got me there. So the marketing, the calls, follow up. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of
Yeah.
fruit and follow up. People go to appointments and then just stop, or they go show a buyer and then never send them anything again. And that's something that you have to do repetitive.
Yeah.
This will be my 8th year in real estate. And so that's something that you have to do very repetitively over and over. And it's the boring work that people don't see that really drive the results, not the fun stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so what does an average day in the life look like for Eden Combs? Like starting when you wake up in the morning, what are the literal granular things you do in the first hour or two of your day? Just walk me through what a typical day in the life of Eden Combs looks like.
Yeah, so most of the time I try to start with the things that I know once I get busy, I wouldn't get done. So I sit down and work on any of the follow-ups, calls, CMAs,
What time are you waking up in the morning?
usually about 6.
Okay, so you wake up at 6. What does your day look
Yeah.
like from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m.?
Okay, so from 6, I get coffee. I have 2 kids, 11 and 7, so get them ready out the door for school. Usually get back to the house about 8 o'clock once they're finished and drop off, and then I start my day from there. So I start at 8 o'clock.
Okay, so you're waking up at 6. Really nothing is going on in terms of like business or from 6 to 8. It's all getting the kids ready.
Yeah,
Okay.
I try and spend that time like focused on them, making sure their morning's good, and honestly, just I usually try and do my devotion in the morning
Okay.
before I get the day started. Because that's one thing again, once you get busy,
Yeah.
like it just won't happen.
Yeah.
So I like coffee, devotion, get kids ready,
Okay.
off to school, and then I start my day.
Okay, so
Yep.
you get back home at that point, you've already had some coffee, already read your Bible or done some devotions. You've gotten the kids
Hmm.
ready for school, dropped off to school or whatever. You're at home around 8 a.m. ish. What
Hmm.
happens then? Because I mean, it's
Yep.
probably a little bit early in the day at 8 a.m. to be calling leads, or
Yeah.
what do you do at 8 a.m.?
So I hit my emails first, work on market analysis that I need to get done. Any follow-ups or things, touch points I need to do for any transactions that are currently under contract. I do have a TC, but there's obviously some things that you as an agent need to still keep your eyes on. So make sure anything that I need to get back, deadlines, that kind of stuff. Um, any texts that I need to send out to clients, I go ahead and do and schedule those. So even though it's a little bit early, I can still schedule a lot of that stuff to
Sure.
go out. And then by that time, it's usually around 9 and I can start those phone calls. Um, if I have calls at 8:30, sometimes I do start them at 8:30 because a lot of people start their work day and I
Sure.
will ask clients ahead
Sure.
of time, is there a time that's too early since I
Yeah.
know I'm an early person?
Yeah.
And if they're a morning person, I just make notes of that and then it doesn't bother them for you to start
I
early.
have found whenever I need to call an important person who I know is busy, the best time to call people, I feel like, is somewhere between 8:40 and 9 a.m. Because
Yes.
if they have any scheduled Zoom calls or meetings or whatever, very rarely are those ever scheduled before 9 a.m. And frankly, a lot of people don't even schedule that stuff before 10 a.m. But if you call them, I know at like, let's
Yep.
say 8:48 a.m. If I'm just trying to grab someone's attention real quick, I don't need a ton of their time, just 5 minutes. I'll call it like 8:48 a.m. because I know at that point they've probably already been awake for an hour or two. They've probably already had a cup of coffee, so they're in a good mood.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm weird that I actually think about this stuff, but I will like actually be thinking like, I don't know if I call them at 8:18 a.m., they might not have had coffee yet, and then they'll think I'm annoying because they're not caffeinated. But if I call them at 8:48 a.m., it's much more likely they've had a cup of coffee.
Yes.
They're getting ready for their first meeting. I'm not like waking them up if I call at 8:48 a.m. because I would never call someone at like 7:48 a.m., right? Even though they're probably awake. Like most people are probably awake by 7:48 a.m., but I don't want to annoy them. Anyways, I found the more important the person is, the more likely if I call at some point between 8:45 a.m. and 9 a.m., 9 out of 10 times you're going to get them on the phone.
Yes. I agree with that. I think if you call me earlier rather than later, you'll get me. Um, and then when I set appointments, I try and set those usually for 11 and after so that I can run around and do those things. Um, Pick up the kids. If my husband's at work, he's a fireman. So when he's at work, he's on 24-hour shifts.
Sure.
And then when he's home, he's home. Um, And so pick the kids up, and I don't really stop working at that point. I usually get them through homework, finish up on any last minute things I need to do. If I still have afternoon appointments, sometimes you have to accommodate those in the afternoon, then I'll run back out and do those. Um, Usually home by 6 for dinner, and on the occasion, sometimes by 7. I try and stop communications around 8 o'clock so that I can have that nighttime, especially with having a 7-year-old. Usually bedtime's 8:30. Um, and that's usually the day in the life of me.
What do your weekends look like? Are you working all day Saturday, all day Sunday? Like, what do your weekends look like?
I do not any longer. I kind of got away from weekends last year on the occasion, like if we're on vacation and I need to stack stuff up when I get back, then I will do weekends. And I'm not opposed to it at all. I just haven't really had to. Most of the, honestly, platform has allowed me to not have to do that working with a ton of buyers. So a lot of listings and sellers are willing to accommodate. I'd rather go at 5:30 during the weekday if I have time to do that than on my Saturday or Sunday.
Sure.
So
Sure.
I don't do a lot of weekends anymore. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm not fielding phone calls, answering agent calls, that kind of thing. Usually still a lot of communication pieces, but I can time block that a little bit too. So
Right.
laying your phone down for an hour or two at a time and then picking it up and responding in 30-minute increments, I've learned is better than being attached to it all day.
Okay, so on a typical normal day, it sounds like you're very intentional about what happens between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. every day. Like how many minutes a day do you think you spend following up with leads and calling people? Would you say it's half an hour a day is following up, an hour, 10 minutes?
I would say an hour to an hour and a half.
Okay, so you are one of those realtors
And
that
if I'm in the car and I have like car time, I'll keep following up during those times too.
so you are one of those realtors that objectively is spending a lot of time every morning following up with
Yes.
leads and
Yes, I follow up with leads, even if it's a buyer that I know that I'm going to delegate to one of the agents in the office until they're approved, I will follow up with them.
okay.
I don't pass them along until they're approved.
And where are all the lead sources that you're getting leads from? Obviously, you're in the platform marketing program, but are there other lead sources or marketing stuff you're doing that's working well?
Yeah, mostly sphere of influence. I do have some Google leads that call me. I think you all set that
Oh,
up
okay.
this past year, but I got a lot of Google calls before then anyways, because I was very intentional about working on Google reviews
Yep.
and things like that.
Yep.
Um, I do a lot of community pieces as well. So I have several community events throughout the year. We usually do two that are open to the community and two that are exclusive to our clients. And then I also sit on the board for our local Chamber of Commerce. So really just being out and about and doing all the pieces and really building the database and not stopping.
So you are really active in your community.
Yes. Yes. And the kind of crazy part of it is I'm in two communities that are 4 hours away. So I don't I don't know if most people realize that, but like yesterday I drove 4 hours in. I did four listing videos, two listing appointments, and I'm sitting in Reedsville, but I will drive back
Yeah. Yeah.
to the other community tomorrow. And so I am very intentional with time.
So for those listening to this who are like, wait, what? Your platform marketing was working so well early on that you decided to take a second market territory with platform. So technically, you're paying platform every month for two different markets,
Hmm.
and you kind of serve both of those markets, but the other market is like
Yes.
4 hours away. So you are still finding time of like, hey, if I get a listing in this other market, I'll kind of drive there. I'll kind of bunch up my activities together so I can accomplish a bunch in one day and then get home.
Yes. And I have a business partner on that one.
Yep. Yep.
And so she's active with those as well. So that works. That's how that works more. Um, but yes, I loved it so much that when we decided to join forces in that market, I said we have to do platform if it's available.
Again, when I hear agents say, "Oh, I just don't have time," I would follow up with my leads, or I would do more social media marketing if only I had more time. you're a really great example of, hey, I'm serving a market that is 4 hours away from where I live, and I'm still selling a bunch of homes there, and the marketing is working. And I don't find the time. Because if you're just looking to find time, you're never going to find it. You just create the time and put the appointments in your own calendar, and then you keep
Hmm.
keep appointments with yourself the way that you would keep an appointment with someone else.
Absolutely.
Are you time blocking like certain days or whatever out of the week for, hey, this is when I do my content marketing, or is it kind of just whenever there's
I used
availability?
to, and yeah, I used to, and I don't anymore. I kind of try and choose like maybe 2 days a month
Okay.
and do most of it during that time. It got to be a lot trying to do it every week.
And that kind of coincides with the rhythm of you connect for a phone call with Audrey every other
Hmm.
week, and so you're just kind of knocking out the marketing homework that she gives you, based off of the rhythm of those phone calls.
Yes. Hmm.
What have been some of your favorite or most successful ads that you've run over the last year? Are there any like retargeting ads or videos, listing videos, anything that you've done that really stand out of like, oh wow, that got a lot of attention?
We did the one right after kind of the year ended with how many properties you sold. And I feel like that got a lot because it put it into perspective with all the different signs around you of like how many properties you sold,
Oh,
of like
okay.
how
Okay,
much
right.
you
Yeah.
do in that market. And it's a very good visual. It's a really good visual for people like they hear, okay, 57. But like when you see that many signs,
Yeah.
it puts it into a different perspective. You just did the one recently, and I'm like, do I need to go buy these signs and start putting it in people's yard? Because I had so many comments on that one of that is such good marketing. I love that. I love that. I love that.
Again, I'm going to assume for a moment that someone is listening to this podcast and they have no idea what ads we're talking about. So I'm going
Yeah.
to try to like explain,
It-
explain those ads. So the first ad is, this is an ad that we can actually run kind of evergreen ongoing, but it's especially timely at the end of the year or in January because we're kind of recapping, right? How many homes you sold last year. We're trying to establish your credibility and your authority as like, hey, you're a top agent. You're not someone who's like dabbling part time in real estate and sold 3 houses last year. It's like, no, you are a top agent. So if you're a homeowner that wants the peace of mind of knowing that you're working with the area's top agent, it's like work with Eden, right? And so the visual on this ad is what we do is we have you go take a picture next to one of your listing signs that's in a yard of a house, and then we have our team at Platform Photoshop like a ton of signs in the yard. We kind of like we have to cut out that sign, then we make a Photoshop layer in Photoshop. And in this case, if you sold like 57 homes last year, we will literally Photoshop 57 realistic looking signs in the yard. So what makes the photo so funny is that like it actually looks kind of real. Like you put up 57 signs in one yard. And like you said, it visually just kind of demonstrates, oh wow, 57 is a lot, right? Like that's a lot of
yeah.
homes. That's a lot of homes that you sold last year. So it just kind of puts a visually creative spin on the typical posts that agents will make towards the end of the year of, here's what award I got from my brokerage, or here's how many homes I sold last year. It just is like a visually different way of
Hmm.
showing that I think helps your content stand out from kind of the more generic fluff that most agents are posting that time of year. The other ad that you brought up is what we call not technically for sale. And again, it's a picture of you kind of posing next to one of your listing signs, but our platform ads team photoshops it. We Photoshop your sign rather than, saying for sale or whatever your, signs normally say. Obviously, everyone's listing signs are different. Not everyone's literally say for sale somewhere on it, but we Photoshop it so that the sign says not technically for sale, and then a smaller a sub headline underneath that says, but make us an offer anyways, and for the right price, maybe we'll change our mind. And it's obviously a joke, right? It's like sarcastic. You don't actually have these real signs out, but it's kind of just hinting that like, hey, every home is for sale for the right price. Maybe if I put these signs out here, I'll attract more interest. And that ad for you, by the way, I went in and checked your ad account last week, was getting like a 20% click rate, which in terms of like the Facebook ads Hall of Fame for realtors, a 20% click rate would land you in the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's not just above average or even far above average. I mean, is at like that's the top 1% of 1% of Facebook ads a realtor will ever do is getting a 20% click rate. That's like absolutely exceptional. And then when I looked at that post, I'm like, okay, yep, I can see how it's getting a 20% click rate because there are so many comments on that
And I
post.
comment back. I spend a lot of time commenting back.
And they're all exceptionally positive comments too. It was like,
Hmm.
"Oh my god, brilliant marketing. I love this marketing. What a creative idea." There's even some people, usually it's other agents will comment, "Is this legal? Do you have signed listing agreements with these people?" You know,
So far, I did not.
I ran this ad also for Carrie Denny in Alabama in Huntsville, and she got a ton of comments too. But I noticed there was one that was like, "I don't know if this is legal. We might. Do you have a signed listing agreement?" There's always like these like haters in the comments that are obviously just other agents, right? That are kind of jealous
Yeah.
that your social media post is getting so much engagement because probably theirs don't get any engagement. But the whole point of that ad is it just positions you as being like a hyper creative agent who's always looking for creative ways to grab attention on social media. And so this is one of those things I think a lot of agents take for granted, that if you're a plumber, like how great your social media marketing is does not necessarily indicate how great of a plumber you are. Right? Because it's like logically
Right.
possible. It's like a non sequitur, right? It's logically possible that you could have super exceptionally creative marketing and you're a plumber, but you're actually a horrible plumber, right? Or if you're an accountant, you could have like super, super cool marketing, just really creative marketing as an accountant, but you're actually a pretty lousy accountant, or, that can be true of anything. It's different in real estate because what the job is sales and marketing. So your marketing, like your personal branding that's about Eden Combs, right? And building up your social media presence in your community is actually a direct reflection of the value that you could bring to your clients, because people can logically infer that if Eden's marketing promoting herself is that creative and she gets that much engagement on all these social media posts going out, I can logically infer that she's probably also very good at marketing my home if I list with her, right? So like
Right.
for realtors, the creativity of your marketing does actually kind of like send people a signal of how competent you are at your job of sales and marketing, right? In a way that is not really true for other professions. So I think a lot of agents overlook that when they may say, "Oh, well, what is the point of getting a bunch of engagement on social media if it's not necessarily leading to listing appointments or it's not directly leading to your phone ringing?" It's like, well, if you build a reputation in your community of like, hey, Eden's
Yeah.
social media posts are always just getting a ton of engagement, like kind of obviously that's going to lead to your business growing.
And that goes back to the fuzzy ROI.
Right, right.
And I know you say that all the time. So it was really fuzzy. And I've told many people recently that's like, oh, does it really work? Or it's not working. Or you'll hear like at what months, the question comes out, at what month did you feel like it worked for you? Um, and I would say around 12 months, like it was really fuzzy till around 12 months, but 14 months started bringing a lot of clarity. And that's when, and I'm really good about asking, can you tell me how you got my name? Can you tell
Sure,
me how
sure.
you came to me? How did you hear about me? And I am hearing more and more, oh, I follow you on social media, or I've followed you for the last 2 years on social media. And so I'm able to track it better now than I have been. And so I really think that it is fuzzy, but I did so much social media before even joining platform, but people weren't seeing it.
Right, right,
And
right.
then after joining platform, it was, oh, I see you everywhere, or oh, I love your listing videos, or oh, you're doing so good. Well, that's platform working. even though they're not saying I'm using you because of social media,
Yeah, right,
they're
right,
seeing
right.
you from that. That's platform working. And even though they were my sphere of influence and people I knew, it was a sphere of influence of people I knew that didn't use my service before.
Yes, yes.
And so it it is fuzzy in the beginning, but as time went on, now I'm able to track it better because when I ask, I am hearing more, oh, I followed you on social media for a while now.
Well, the ultimate proof of whether or not the platform strategy works is in your GCI, right? I
Yeah,
mean, it's like, yeah, we
absolutely.
can talk about like marketing metrics all day long of how many clicks are you getting, how many engagement, like how many people are
Yes.
commenting on your posts and all of these like, social media marketing metrics. But at the end of the day, you didn't sign up for platform to get more likes on Facebook. You signed up for platform to make more money in your business, right? So,
And it truly allows you the opportunity to align with the people you align with and people who value your service. I've had a couple people that called me because they loved my marketing, but then they didn't like the price of the marketing, like that they would have to pay for my service. And I'm okay with that because I can't say, well, I'll adjust that for you because it's not fair to the other 50 or 60 people who used me that I didn't adjust it for.
yep.
And so it does make you more confident. Also, I feel like in having those conversations.
Where was your business? Like where was your GCI, or how many homes were you selling like before platform? Like what was your total
I
in
was,
2024 or 2023?
yeah, I was right at 11 million, 10 million and then 11 million. And then last year was my first full year and I ended at 14.5.
Okay.
And I will be honest in saying a lot of that I could have done more if I worked with the buyers. I gave out about 5 million in business from buyers.
Okay. So I mean really your business
So,
is
I mean, if you want to count that, I didn't include that in my numbers because it
okay.
didn't physically go under my name, but
Sure.
I did keep track of that and I delegated those off.
So I mean really then
It's
uh
like 19.5
yeah, it's like really
and it was about 70 transactions.
the most conservative number would be like, hey, I grew my business about 40% from about 10
Hmm.
million to about 14 million, but that was all your production. Um, but actually, when you're looking at the total amount of business that's coming from all this social media marketing stuff you're doing with platform, your business has actually grown from like 10 million to 20 million.
Hmm.
But obviously, you don't want to work weekends. You don't want to be working till midnight every night. So you're passing off a lot of that to buyer's agents on your team, still making some sort of split on it, I'm assuming. But you
Yeah.
you have your sanity, right? That you're not working 80 hours a week every
And
week.
there's some people that do that, and I love that for them. But I feel
Right,
like we all have different goals.
right.
And right now, I have two children at home, and I don't want them to always remember that all I did was work.
Yep, yep,
And so being at the sporting events in the afternoons and different functions, that's important to me. And so if I have to give some of that up for a short amount of time,
yep.
to spend that time with them, I'm happy to do that. I still think it's plenty of business and, that's spinning around.
And that's why I think it's so important too to ask. Like, it's not just your sales volume; it's
Hmm.
how many transactions are you doing? Because
Yeah.
some people might hear, "Oh, you're at 14 million. That's good, but that's not even that great." And it's like, yeah, but she's selling $260,000 houses. So that's actually like a metric shit.
It's a lot of
Yeah, that's
work.
like a metric shit ton of houses to get to 14 million when you know what I mean? Like,
Well, if it puts it into perspective, in the second market, we sold 22 homes and it was 11.5 million.
right, right,
So the
exactly.
price point there is about
Right.
$500,000.
Yeah.
So two completely different
Yep.
markets and price
Yeah,
points.
one isn't necessarily, better than the other or more impressive, but like
Yeah.
people that are in markets that are more expensive. I mean, I live in Naples, Florida. You basically can't buy a single family home here for any less than $600,000, even in a not nice neighborhood. It's going to be $600,000 to $700,000 for a single family
Right.
house. This market is very different. Like if someone says, "Oh, I sold 10 million last year as a realtor," I'm like, "Is that supposed to be impressive? That means you sold like 10 houses." You know what I mean? Like I don't even know if you're a full-time agent in Naples if you're selling 10 million. You know what I mean? But in a market like yours, where homes are 265,000, which I also can totally empathize with that, because the town I'm from, that I grew up in and spent the first, 25 years of my life, is in small town Minnesota. Like, yeah, that's the average price point, is the mid 200s. And so any agent who's even selling 10 million is selling a ton of houses, you know,
Yeah,
to hit 10 million. So I think people in more expensive markets don't always have that perspective that, like, yeah, you could be selling
right.
14 million and you're actually an absolute top producer at that point. But it sounds like this year, I mean, you're probably going to be far beyond that if you've already hit 28 and we're only 2 months into the year. So
I'll keep you posted.
yeah.
I'll keep you posted. Um, but yeah, I think that's just something that's very important. That's super important to note is kind of what are your goals, and it's okay if you're not doing the same thing everybody else is doing, but you can still capitalize on that business.
Where would your business be, either in terms of number of transactions or sales volume, whatever, if, like, hypothetically you could go back in time and you never signed up for platform? Like, where do you think your business would be right now versus where it actually is now?
I had stalled at around 10 million, like consistently selling 50 homes a year, 10 million, no matter how hard I tried for 3 years in a row. I did the same exact volume. And I was doing all of the things. I was doing community events. I was in the community working, making the phone calls, I had a really good follow-up system with like cards and things I would send to clients, so that they didn't feel like, oh, we just closed that and you never see me or hear from me again. Um, and so, really trying to create that community, I don't know how to answer that because consistently, no matter what I did for 3 years, it was the same exact thing. And the highest I ever got was 11.5 million. So would it have grown? I'm sure to an extent, but would it have grown to the extent it's at now? No. And I would have been still in the grind, taking everything,
Right. Like,
just taking everything, trying
all of the buyers, all of the list. Yeah, you'd be working
and
everything.
almost caring more than other people care for the transaction to happen. Buyers sometimes they're like, I want to buy a house, but they don't do the work. And you almost have to like care more than they care to make sure they get approved so that you can keep
Right, right,
moving.
right.
Yeah, and I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, I think, like, GCI, or sales volume, is the ultimate, again, marketing metric. I'm saying that with air quotes for those who aren't watching us on YouTube. Um, your GCI is a marketing metric, or your sales volume is a marketing metric. Just because something isn't a cost per lead or landing page conversion rate, or what's the click rate on a Facebook ad, whatever, that can still be a marketing metric, in the sense that if you've observed that, hey, we had a pretty solid, like, control group, like a sample size of a control, like in an experiment, right? That, hey, for 3 years in a row I was stuck at 10 million. And then once you factor in all the deals that the marketing has generated that you passed off to your team, this last year you finished about 20 million. It's like, well, no one's business just spontaneously doubles, right?
Right.
It's not a coincidence that your business went from 10 million to 20 million. uh I will grant it that sometimes your business might go from 10 to 12 million purely by chance. You just happen to
Hmm.
maybe get a couple more referrals that year. Just dumb luck, your business grew from 10 to 12. That could totally happen. That's realistic. But no one's business is going from 10 million to 20 million. Oh, I guess I just had a randomly good year. I doubled, everyone in my database in the same year all decided to refer me at approximately double the rate they've been referring me before, right? Like, obviously that's not a random coincidence. Like, that was because of uh all of the marketing that you were doing. Okay, so
Yes.
here's a follow-up question. I'm actually interested to see how you answer this. Like, how are you going to handle the work-life balance if your business continues snowballing? Because obviously all the marketing you're doing, your business isn't going to slow down in the future, right?
Right.
Like, what's your plan on managing all that if you continue? I mean,
So yeah, leverage. That's why I started the whole team and started branding and marketing more as a team versus just myself. So that people, because when platform works, it works. And when people call, they expect me. And so I marketed so hard as a solo agent for so long, and then you add in platform and it heightened that. So that's why I started branding more as a team so that when people call, at least for now with buyers, they're not expecting me solely all the time.
Sure, sure.
And I am able to easily delegate that off, and they don't feel like they ever got dropped because we do have a good system for that. I have a transaction coordinator, and I also have a listing specialist that works alongside of me to help keep all the things organized. So I've already started really working to put those things in place for the growth. And we started that last year, about October of last year, before I even knew really where
Yeah.
January or February was headed. I just felt like based off of the numbers from last year that it was going to grow. And I kept saying that 2026 was going to be a different year. I didn't know exactly how different.
Yeah.
Um, and so they always say hire before you're ready. And I started hiring and really trying to implement some of those systems before I ever knew that was happening.
So my final question here as we wrap up this conversation, Eden, is kind of like a two-part question. First, how would you describe the platform marketing program or the platform marketing strategy to a realtor who's not familiar with platform? Like, how would you describe it um, in your own words? That's my first question.
So I always say that marketing is very important. A lot of people buy leads, and I have never bought leads. I always say I pay for marketing, and I still think that's true because even though there are some leads that come through from platform, it's your marketing that's driving that. Um, so the accountability with it, the marketing with it, and branding yourself in a different sense is super powerful. But the one agent per market is where it's really at. Um, there's not a lot of, I don't know any companies out there that stand on that principle and really support that mission behind the one agent per market and don't bend. So I think that speaks volumes to you all. But having a whole family and how many people I have met across the United States um, to share with. I was texting with one the other morning. I was like, "Hey, it was Caitlin," and I said, "Hey, I saw that you were doing such and such. Can you tell me about that?" But the gift of being able to share with other people is so powerful, and that community and like the Plat fam it's a real gift.
All right, part two of my final question here is, uh, if you couldn't do platform, because maybe there's a realtor listening to this that's like, hey, all this sounds amazing, but I just can't afford the investment. I can't join platform. Like,
Hmm.
would you be able to do all this stuff by yourself if you couldn't work with platform for whatever reason, or maybe your market's taken, right? And you wanted to sign up, but you can't because some agent is already in your territory. And, as you said, it's one client per market. Would you be able to do everything that we do for you by yourself? And like, again, I don't know the answer to that. Maybe you think you could. I'm curious how you would answer that question. Like, do you think it'd be viable to do all the marketing and all the things we do for you by yourself if you were just trying to save a little money every month?
I don't want to do all of that by myself. I did a lot of my own marketing before, but like I said, it wasn't getting seen. So having to pay either somebody or figuring out the ads piece behind it and the monitoring of that, good luck to them. I don't want to do that. I want to do what I'm good at, and that's not it. And so I really think that if you are an agent that can't join, find a hire that you could hire. And it goes back to the book I read, Who Not How.
Yeah. Yep.
So do the
Yep.
things that you're really good at, and then hire the people to do the things that are going to save you the time, leverage, save you the time, and let them do what they're good at. So if you can't join platform, and I don't know of another company out there that does anything remotely close, um, then figure out maybe the ads piece of it, or another marketing person that you could hire onto your team. I listened to a podcast recently that you all did, and she had a whole marketing person for her team, and that might be an option as well. But I personally don't want to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, if you were to move somewhere completely else in the country, because you're in North Carolina, like I don't know, if
Hmm.
you had to move to Hawaii because your husband got a firefighting job in Hawaii and you don't know a single person there, I mean, you are truly starting over from scratch with no connections, no sphere of influence there. What would you do to rebuild a successful real estate business from scratch if you had to move to a totally new area that you didn't know anyone?
I started my whole business on community. So I say that piece is important. You have to spend a lot of time, I call it shaking hands and kissing babies. So like a lot of time with people in the community. I'm not from here. When I started in real estate, I had only lived in the community for 5 years and I didn't know very many people. My kids weren't in school yet. I wasn't, I had just started working as a real estate agent in Rockingham County and I didn't know that many people. So I went around and introduced myself and did pop buys to businesses every month consistently for a whole year. If there was an event, I was at it. I joined our local chamber of commerce and ended up on their board. Um, and I just think being ingrained in your community and doing those things, even if it doesn't feel like business is coming from it, it's it's planting the seeds for the fruit of the labor later. And staying consistent and driven, even when you're not seeing results, is really important. Um, because only you have that vision and you have that drive. But if you give up, I had read an article one time. It said, "What if you quit on time number 15, and on the 16th you would have gotten a yes, and you gave up?" And so, if that is your dream and that is your goal, I say you stick to whatever it is that is going to drive that business forward. And for me, it was community and staying consistent and just going around and meeting as many people as I could and shaking as many hands as I could, and until the day came that eventually people started using my service.
Eden, you are successful because of how active you are in your community, and all of the marketing that you're doing with platform on social media works to the extent that it's just a reflection of the real way that you're living your life in your community, right? Like you can't multiply by zero. A lot of agents try various social marketing things, including maybe the platform program, and when it doesn't work for them, it's because they're trying to multiply by zero. They're not active in their community at all, right?
Hmm.
And they think, oh, I'll just spend a bunch of money on social media ads to kind of create a false impression that I am really active in the community, right? But you can't fake that. You can't multiply.
Mm-mm.
You can't multiply by zero, because all marketing is multiplication. It's like if
Yeah.
if if before platform you were getting 1,000 views on your listing videos, well, we're going to get you 50,000 views, right?
Yeah.
We're getting you more of what you already have, but you can't multiply by zero. So if you're not
Yeah.
actually active in the community, all the marketing in the world is still not really going to help you that much. So it's just not. I've seen this so many times, right? In the like 11 plus years we've been running platform now, that if you're active in the community, platform is going to be like pouring gasoline on a bonfire for you. If you're not
Yeah.
active in your community, it's like pouring gasoline on a pile of dry logs. Not a whole lot.
Yeah. People see passion. They see passion. And I think that speaks volumes. So if you're already doing those community things and people know you and know that you're driven and you're passionate about truly serving and helping, because it's more than just sales. We give back. And so, we're able to give to charities and nonprofits and organizations and teachers and all kinds of different things. And so that's where the power really is what are you doing besides just selling and making money? Are you leaving an impact on people?
Eden, thank you for your time. This has been a super fun conversation. It's awesome to see your business growing so much over the last year. Again, I know you were on the show previously a year ago, and you were already pretty happy with what was going on. But now that you're 18 months in to the platform marketing program, I mean, your business is really, really accelerating. And that's always really, really rewarding for me to see
Yeah.
like good guys win.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you to you and your team.
All right, guys, we'll see you on the next episode of the Platform Marketing Show.